All right, all right, all right. Bang, bang to the gang. P Warrior underscore Niner. Benjamin Ness. Faithful Boys Podcast. Y'all know our slogans. We bang till we can't no more. And that means we bang to infinity and beyond. You heard me? What's good with your big bro?
All as well. A lot going on with the combine and start a free agency franchise tag, and the Rams made a trade in the division for a Pro Bowl cornerback from Kansas City. So got to break that down and look forward to the start of free agency, see what we gonna do, who we gonna bring in, who they targeting, type of stuff. So yeah, it's
Okay.
good.
And you was able to catch some of the combine or at least the highlights thereof?
Well, no, I didn't really, and this maybe been the first year in a long time that I haven't watched the combine, but I know it broke records for the fastest times, and a lot of these, guys, from various positions was breaking records with the 40 times, and some players who, maybe on tape was good, but then you combine the speed with that, and so um it's gonna be interesting to see when the draft come around, who we draft and who get drafted, and stuff. So,
Right. Well, brother, shit. Let's talk about a little bit of it. Definitely. I guess we could start with that trade that you was mentioning. I called wind of that this morning. Definitely raised the eyebrows. Trent McDuffie coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs. From I feel like a first, a fifth, and some other. So
yeah,
interesting. But we both know that the Rams are definitely willing to push the chips all the way in when they're trying to get a blue chip player. I believe they had the T-shirts that say "fuck them picks." Uh,
yeah,
so personally, I could definitely say that I approve of the philosophy, and especially because it bears fruit for them. But Trent McDuffie coming over from Kansas City, bro. What's your thoughts about that as it affects us in the division?
Well, the Rams, yeah, their philosophy is, and F the picks, and when they want to play, they'll, go. Now they did have 2 first-round picks, so that helps when you have 2 first round, you can
Definitely.
do that with. And then they gave up some picks next year, but they on a timeline because Stafford, is on a timeline, and so they going all in because they know the window as far as having a quarterback is closed. But then they could draft a quarterback with that pick that they got from the Falcons at number 11. So I mean,
Right.
you could go that route too. Now, how it affects the division, the first thing I said was they brought him in to stop JSN, because JSN is the best receiver in the division. You know, it's not Marvin
True.
Harrison. It's not even our receivers. We don't have a true number one. If Ayuk would have been what he should have been, then we could have said that. So this was a move to strengthen them against Seattle and JSN, because you saw in the championship game they couldn't cover him, and they couldn't really cover Shaheed either. You know what I'm saying, on that one play where they threw the bomb to him. So the Rams, hey, they have the pass rush, but they didn't have one premier guy who could lock down your best guy to allow their pressure to get to you. And so this to me, when I heard of it this morning, I said, this is a move for JSN to go against that. So how it affects us is, I mean, shit, we got to get some receivers. You know what I'm saying? We got to get some receivers that can, combat the. Now, can he be beat? Any corner can be beat. Even the best ones, even the great ones get beat from time to time. But, now, not saying we didn't need the receivers before, because we definitely do. But now we got to get some studs. We got to get somebody that can, be a threat for us against that. You know what I'm saying? And then see, he can play in the slot and outside. And if you watch Seattle, a lot of times they were putting JSN in the slot. A lot of his damage was done from the slot. It wasn't done outside.
Oh, definitely. They gonna move him and get that
moved him
mismatch.
outside in the slot. They had him in the backfield. So now you got somebody who can match up with him in the slot, because that's what a lot of McDuffie played in the slot. It wasn't that he played outside. He played a lot in the slot, especially on third down. And on third down, JSN was eating. So, I mean, it's an excellent move by the Rams. And like I said, you have the 2 first-round picks to do it, and you wouldn't mortgage some of your future because you trying to win the Super Bowl now. Because like I said, you got to maximize Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford ain't going to play forever. You know what I'm saying? And while you still have the weapons with Nakua and Adams and the running backs and the tight ends, and then defensively they got a lot of good young defensive players, but their secondary was the weak link. It wasn't so much they safeties, it was their corners. Now you got an all-pro corner who didn't won a couple Super Bowls, and so now, I mean, just realistically,
bringing that pedigree.
Yeah, exactly. So now, if you look at it just like right now, you would have to pick the Rams as the favorite, but we know that Rome wasn't built in a day. They still got a lot of changes that's gonna happen to the roster, with us and even with the Seahawks. So, like I said, one person don't win it for you, but he definitely gonna help them get to where they're trying to get. So that's how you gotta look at it. So at any rate, like I said, man, it's all good. Like I said, the main thing now for us is we got to get people to combat that. We got to get receivers that can go against that. You know what I'm saying? And be threats against that. So that's how we got to look at it. If we look at it from an offensive standpoint, we need some receivers that's going to be able to challenge him. That's going to be able to,
we got some 4-3 receivers in the draft and shit too.
Yeah, well, they and I think for us, it's gonna be a combination of who they get in free agency, but also who they get in the draft. Now they're looking at a couple players who I've seen play a little bit. The one receiver from Indiana, the dude, he run a 4-3, he a route runner. See what people got to realize. Shanahan looking for professional route runners or who can run that route tree and who can block. Well, this one particular guy, I forget his name, from Indiana. He, they played with Mendoza, the first pick. He a good player. They got that other receiver, number 13, who is a big receiver. Now, I don't know if he'll be a first-round pick, but that might be somebody looking at. They're looking at Mike Evans in free agency. They're looking at some of these other players in free agency, like Romeo Dobbs and Jalen Nail and some of these people, offensively. So it's going to be a combination of the draft.
Personally, I like Dobbs, especially when you're talking about somebody who can run some routes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I like Dobbs. And as far as on it, bro, first thing I thought about was how he cuffed up Debo. You know what I'm saying? Really all our receivers. He was running the goddamn I didn't even think about JSN, which is a good point. Like I think you spot on with the reasoning, you feel me? But just looking at what we have, it just go back to what we talked about last show and what you already talking about now. The need for weapons, you feel me? I like Pearsall, and I know he could run good routes, but I'm not convinced that your route running is outweighing Debo's dog factor, because we know Debo wasn't a route runner, but he had that dog in him. Your route running not outweighing Debo dog to where I feel like you about to be consistently eating on McDuffie. Now, season start, because you could be on some whole other ish, and it could be that for us, but I'm not anticipating that out the gate. I need to see that. So again, with that being said, the emphasis on skill position players.
Well, my thing is to me, this is how I think they need to attack it, and I think maybe this is how they're gonna attack it. You got to have a little bit of everything. You need to have that route runner. You got that already in Pearsall. You need somebody like a Dobbs, somebody that can run the routes and have the speed. You need a big body receiver, somebody who can get the ball. That's why they was talking about Mike Evans. Okay, we know he ain't gonna blow past you, but you can throw that contested ball and he can get that ball. You know what I'm saying? To me, even what they have with Watkins and Power. Now y'all haven't proven anything because y'all haven't been out there to prove anything. But just for our offense, we man, they gotta, they gotta get a combination of some experience and some youth. Now, one thing we know, Kyle can scheme it open, and if you have the players that can run the routes and have the speed and can threaten, then that's gonna help. You know what I'm saying? Now, to your point, in the Super Bowl, Debo wasn't no route runner, and then Ayuk was, but Ayuk maybe don't have the blazing speed to go past. Now, to me, that's where JSN have it. He have the speed and he have the route running ability. So that's going to be a tough matchup. But as I'm saying, he was kidding around. That's why they went and got McDuffie. It wasn't so much to go against what we have because really right now, we don't have nothing proven. Really, if we think about it, we don't have no proven receiver. You know what I'm saying? So that was a move to go against JSN. But then, like I say, this is where now we know, okay, well, they got this all-pro cornerback who can match up in the slide, who can do this and stuff like that. We got to get playmakers at all the positions. You know what I'm saying? The X, the Y, the Z, who can threaten, okay, and stuff like that. And then, and so, like I said, I don't know ultimately, who they going to bring in. We hoping they going to bring in somebody from free agency that, is productive and have the ability to do these things. And then they're going to draft somebody, whether it's in the first round or, early, that they feel can, do that. And then it may be multiple. To me, they have 7 picks now. I don't know with, I don't know if they're going to have any more, if they're going to add any more compensatory picks to what they have. Right now, they got 7. So you figure they have enough money under the cap to at least bring in 2. You figure they got to draft 1, and then they still want to give Cowan a chance. They still want to give Watkins a chance to try to prove that they can be productive. So to me, you're bringing in 3 more to what, and then you still have DeMarcus Robinson. So you have Pearsall, you got Robinson, you got Cowan, you got Watkins. If you bring in 3 more, you got 7. And amongst those 7, they normally keep 5 or 6. So, and 1 might go to the practice squad. So you figure if you're signing 2, they on a team because you ain't spending money in free agency and they're not going to be on the team. You're going to have, 1 of your draft picks. If it's a first round pick, more than likely, they're going to be on the team. And then you're going to have, Pearsall and Robinson, they're going to be on the team. So you about to turn over your receiver room, which you needed to do. To me, you got to have a combination of size and speed. If you can find that, and these players that you're bringing in that can threaten the defense with the speed, but also can run the routes and is physical and can block, because that's what Shanahan looking for. Because the receivers is an extension of the running game, so you can't not block and think you're gonna get PT. So it's got to be on that level, and so hopefully the players that they bring in is good, to be able to do that.
Well,
as far as the offense is concerned,
we have 9 receivers that's running 4.37 or under.
Yeah.
The fastest being a 4.26. You feel me? By Brendan Thompson from Mississippi State.
And then Trey Lance brother ran a 4.3.
I was just about to say, including Bryce Lance from North Dakota State running a 4.34. And we know he got a little size on him. I feel like he's like 6'3", but don't quote me on that. Brother, this is the year to get your burner. You feel me? And you don't necessarily have to get him in the first round.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We know that. But you can get you a good explosive receiver, hopefully somebody that can help on special teams also, you dig? And you know what I'm saying, be looking kind of good. And as far as free agent wide receivers, they got some good ones out here. You feel me? like you already mentioned, I feel like Mike Evans. You got Romeo Dobbs again. Christian Kirk, he a vet. You feel me? Still got a little tread on the tires. I like Alec Pierce. Now I know we probably, won't be able to get him. You know what I mean? But I like Alec Pierce. Long as y'all not really bringing Debo back, you feel me? I would prefer y'all to bring Jawan Jennings back. Honestly, at the right number, because I know what I'm getting with him.
Yeah, true that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the only thing. If he want $20 million, he gonna probably price himself out. That's to say, the 49ers probably looking in the 15, maybe the 15 to 18 million dollar range for a receiver. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of what they do in free agency is gonna determine what they do in the draft. Because if you fill in certain needs, you know what I'm saying, at certain positions, then that kind of will give us a tell on some level as to what they thinking and maybe what they're gonna go on the draft. And then even defensively, they have some players that just came that's not gonna be with teams that they have a chance to get to. So we'll see.
I was about to ask you, what you think about Trey Hendrickson? Because he's been linked to us a couple of times.
We was linked to trading for him, but Cincinnati wanted a first round pick. Well, now you're an unrestricted free agent. The market for him is gonna be out there because he's been one of the best defensive ends in the league, for the last couple of years, and so you could get into a bidding war. They got the dual Grenard that was with Houston, and he went to Minnesota. He gonna be a free agent, so they're gonna have some defensive linemen, defensive ends, and to me, they saying Raheem Morris gonna run, 5-man front, and these different type of defense. You need. Man, the 49ers only had 20 sacks as a team last year. That was the lowest in the league. That might have been maybe one of the lowest in the history of the league. To me, man, y'all need rushers, not like one or two. Y'all need at least 4 or 5 for them things. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be through free agency or through the draft. If y'all can bring maybe 1, maybe 2 in, you know what I'm saying? Maybe at least 1. Because right now you got Bryce Huff and you got Bosa as your main rushers. Okay. You need at least, and Joey Bosa might be in play, because I think he only signed a 1-year contract with Buffalo, so he could be in play. But if you could get a Hendrickson, or if you could get a Grenard, or if you get one of them boys, the one player from Seattle, if you get him, a Mafia, whatever his name is, you get him, whoever else is out there, man, y'all really need to at least bring in 1 or 2 more to go with what you have. Because if you can get 3 or 4 or 5 pass rushers, and then you could put, Williams inside, and then you still got the boy who got shot by Lil Baby. I forget his name, and then you got your defensive ends.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? To me, y'all need rushers. And see, to me, like where the Rams gonna make the splash get the 1 and give us the picks, the 49er philosophy is we want depth and we want quality depth. And that serves you well. And they're not gonna mortgage the draft to bring in a blue chip guy. Nah, they did for McCaffrey and they did for Trey Lance. Where they hit with McCaffrey, they blew up with Trey Lance. So it would have to be the right player where they gonna mortgage future picks for. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Now they talking about even trading Renardo Green, and stuff like that, which means y'all probably gonna be targeting a corner in the draft too. So
glad you brought that up. Let me throw 2 names out there. Tariq Woolen from Seattle and Marshawn Lattimore.
Well, if you want to go with youth, it'll probably be Woolen. If you want to go with experience, it would be Lattimore, but then Lattimore been hurt. So I think they will probably go after Woolen just because Woolen play in the division. He know, the division and things like that. And Woolen got talent, you know what I'm saying? And then what I think people they missing is they had Bullocks as a secondary coach, which to me, he went on to Green Bay. I wish you well. But Jerry Gray is gonna make their secondary better. The coaching, sometimes it ain't the players, it's the coaching. You know what I'm saying? That needs to change. And so now you got Jerry Gray, who played in the league and was a great player in the league back in the 80s. and then have coached Pro Bowl cornerbacks and was a defensive coordinator and all of this, and stuff like that. So to me, I think with him coming in to coach, and then even before they brought him as a coach, they were trying to get one of the Atlanta coaches to be the secondary coach, but Atlanta turned them down. So if Jerry Gray can turn these boys around and they get better coaching, that could help, because to me, you got Demo, who I think if he get better coaching than what he had, could probably turn into a Pro Bowl player. Now, to me, Ronaldo Green ain't really impressed me. Number one, I think you're too small. Then you too handsy. You know what I'm saying? And then, Shanahan was ripping you a new one on the sideline when you blew that coverage in a divisional. So if they trade him, to me, I wouldn't miss him. And then in this draft, you got corners that's a little bigger. Because to me, you need bigger corners. And I can see why you would go after a Rick Woolen, and stuff. But to me, the key to it is the pass rush. Y'all got to get rushers, man. Y'all got to get rushers to be able to affect the quarterback. To me, y'all don't need to get Max Crosby. He's a great player, but that's just one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, to me, it's quantity. As much as it's quality of play, it's quantity. Y'all need more than one rush man. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it on defense.
No, I feel you on that. Hopefully, like you said, they know that, because they, like you say, they are often looking to, have a lot of depth at various positions. You know what I'm saying? Defensive line being one of them. So if they could definitely start to cover, you feel me? We know they would. I'm more looking at the offense myself. We know y'all always having to invest in the defense. But yeah, I want to see some of that draft capital hit the offense and actually hit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to your point, they have tried to bring in younger players on offense, but they've done it in the middle rounds of the draft. Think about all the tight ends that they drafted that didn't pan out. Think about some of the running backs that they didn't drafted in the last couple of years that didn't pan out. So, and even some of the receivers that they drafted in the last couple of years that didn't pan out. So they've tried to address it, but they tried to address it in the middle rounds because, to your point again, they always heavily invest in the defense. But this could be the year, given Ayuk being gone and given some of the disparity at your receiver position, where you take the chance and get the receiver, or even that tight end, that one boy from Oregon who was running a 4.3 something. Sadiq is his name. I done seen some mock draft saying that he might come to us, and I done seen the one receiver, the dude from Indiana, number 3. I can't remember his name. I done seen him play. He a good player, so they might go offense because, like I say, it all depends on what they do in free agency. If they go and get maybe 1 or 2 receivers, maybe they go get a defensive end or whatever the case may be, or a linebacker or whatever, then it can offset what they would have to do in the draft. Because really, your philosophy should be take the best player available. You shouldn't be drafting out of a particular position of need. Take the best player that's available based off of the board you done set up and based off of all of this evaluation with these people that do this all year round. So free agency is going to tell us, kind of like I said earlier, it's going to give us insight into what they're thinking as far as bringing in players in the draft. Because if you bring in a Alec Pierce, let's just go off the top out here. Let's say you bring in a Alec Pierce or a Dobbs, and then you come back and you bring in another receiver, you bring in a defensive end. Let's say you get the boy from Cincinnati or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Then that's one less position you got to fill. You can go other areas and other places, because offensively, you need more juice. They was one of the oldest offenses in the league. And a lot of that is Trent Williams playing his position if you're looking at it from an overall point of view. So we know they lacking speed and explosiveness at that position. So you got to go and get the players that's going to be able to get that done within the realm of what Shanahan trying to run too.
Not real. It's gonna be an interesting off season, my boy.
So yeah, so we should start seeing because the league and the I think the league year starts next Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you had that 3-day window of legal tampering and all of that. And that's like you're gonna start seeing them deals come in right Sunday, Monday, bam. You're gonna see breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. So hopefully, like I said, they'll I know they got some players targeted who they looking for, to get, and things like that. And so yeah, they need to go ahead and get that figured out and see who they gonna bring in. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Nah, that's what's up, dog. Well, shit, you already know we'll be here for it, brother. You know what I'm saying? Woo! Go ahead on, slide out the door. We gonna drive this on Friday. So shit,
So
next week we'll see what we got on deck, bro. I like you said, I saw some of the numbers from the combine. I'm trying to look at a couple of the defensive players. My mind been kind of on the offense. We'll chop it up, but yeah, brother. Appreciate all y'all for tapping in. You know what I'm saying? Y'all continue to tap in, faithful boys. Y'all know what it is. It's 49er Sports Talk. P Warrior _9 and myself, Benjamin. That's good. Bang, bang to the gang. We out.